What's up, y'all? Brandon with BC Talks here. So, 2023 admittedly was not the best year for comic book movies and TV shows. The major studios saw quite the financial hit last year, as well as some major backlash from a lot of the fans. It does look like they might have learned their lesson, though, as this year seems like it's going to be a bit of a pause and a reset in preparation for better things to come in 2025, at least for Warner Brothers and Disney, anyway. The DCEU just ended with the release of Aquaman 2 The Lost Kingdom, and now we await the release of Superman Legacy, which is set to come out in 2025 and will be the first movie to kick off James Gunn's new DC universe. And on the Marvel side of things, they've pushed back many of the big movies and projects that were following the multiverse saga and were set to release this year, and it sounds like they're planning on a massive retooling of the current direction of the MCU. So, what's in store for 2024? Well, despite many of the movies and TV shows that were originally supposed to drop this year being pushed to 2025 and beyond, we're still getting a good amount of comic book based content, more so on the TV and streaming side of things, though. I'm going to start with the projects that we have actual concrete dates for, and then towards the end of the video, I'll talk about the projects that are supposed to come out in 2024 but don't have release dates set as of now. To start off the year, we have Echo, which is set to release very soon, actually, January 9th to be exact, on Disney Plus. Now, this is going to sound a little hipster, but I was into Echo before it was cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
That was only because I'm a simp for Alaqua Cox, the actress who plays Echo. And there was a Daredevil and Echo comic that came out last year as well that I enjoyed. So I was looking forward to seeing more of Echo. But no one really cared about this series until that first trailer dropped, and we found out it's going to be TVMA in the style of the original Netflix Daredevil show, and that we're going to be getting a Kingpin that seems more like the Netflix Daredevil show rather than how he appeared in the Hawkeye show. Now, I'm low key afraid that this is not going to go as hard as most people think it is, and the trailer might be tricking people a little bit, and it might end up disappointing a lot of people. If that's the case, the good thing is they're dropping all of the episodes on that same day, so if people don't like it, they'll just forget about it in a couple weeks. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this show is going to be, and again, that is coming out soon next week, January 9th. Next up, we're going to have part two of season two of Invincible on Amazon. Maybe. We actually haven't been given an exact date for part two of season two yet, but when part one went on hiatus for the holidays, the creators did say that part two will be dropping sometime in early 2024. Now, personally, I'm hoping that that means late January to February, but that could also be March, as that's also technically early 2024. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we're going to have to wait and see. But regardless of when it drops, part one of season two of Invincible was amazing. If you haven't watched the show yet, you are doing yourself a disservice. I was actually kind of scared going in to part one of season two because I wasn't really feeling the first episode. But at towards the end of that first episode and then all the episodes after that, it was just amazing. And it definitely got me back in. If you aren't watching Invincible, like I said, you're missing out on peak comic book television. The writing, the storytelling, the world building is some of the best of any comic book media right now, and the voice acting is also on point, and they do a great job of adapting the original Invincible comic faithfully, but changing certain aspects of the story that they're telling for animation that better serve it. You all might also be put off by the animation at first because it's a little bit simple, especially when compared to other animated comic book properties like Sony Spider-Verse movies. But the simplicity of the animation here, it sort of adds to the charm of the show and definitely fits the vibe and the feeling of the show, in my opinion. I'm definitely excited to see where the show is going to go for part two and beyond that for the next seasons, as there's a lot of interesting things coming up in the comics that we have to look forward to. So I'm really interested to see where part two is going to go and beyond. After that, or maybe before, depending on when it drops, we're going to get our first comic book movie of the year, which is Madam Web. Madam Web is directed by S.J. Clarkson and is set to release on February 14th, which of course is Valentine's Day. So you can take your date out to see Madam Web so they can simp and drool all over Sydney Sweeney in a Spider Woman costume.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy, you better get the best for me. Hey, Daddy.
Sounds like a great idea. Not really, but seriously though, the trailer for this movie did not do it any favors, and I'm not sure exactly who's excited for it. When the trailer dropped, the internet was abuzz with more Sony Spider-Verse memes. The Spider-Verse as a whole, other than the Venom movies, has just been one big meme fest for Sony, and this trailer did not help that at all. Now, I'm gonna see it personally because I see all the comic book movies and TV shows, obviously, but the bar for my expectations is on the floor. But the good thing about that is that usually when that's the case, when I have low or no expectations for something and I go into it with those, they tend to surprise me. So I'm hoping at least that that'll be the case here, and it's not going to be a complete bore snooze fest that spawns millions of memes like Morbius. Probably not, but we'll see soon enough, I guess. The next movie to release in 2024 is probably the complete opposite of Madam Web, and it's one that I have incredibly high expectations and excitement for. That is Deadpool 3, which is directed by Sean Levy, who directed the previous Deadpool movies, and it is set to release July 26th. Now, there's been a ton of hype and speculation for this movie, and many people believe that it's going to be the MCU's reset button to get them back on track after some of the past few duds in the multiverse saga. Now, I think that this movie has incredibly high expectations. A lot of people have theories and different ideas that about what this movie is going to be, and I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to have their hopes and expectations kind of dashed because of all the theories, similar to how people felt about Multiverse of Madness. There were so many theories about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that when the movie came out, it disappointed a lot of people because it was just set to incredible high expectations. Now, despite that, I do have a theory about the movie. Personally, I believe that they're going to do a loose adaptation of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, which was a comic, but in this movie, Deadpool is going to be killing the Fox universe. I think that he's going to do something unintentional that starts or causes an incursion, and him and Wolverine are going to romp around the Fox universe accidentally or maybe purposefully killing certain Fox characters, which is going to ultimately lead to Deadpool being transported to the MCU or to the universe that Monica Rambeau is in, because we did see at the end of the Marvels that Monica Rambeau got transported to a universe with X-Men characters. We don't know if that's the Fox X-Men universe yet. We haven't gotten a confirmation on that. But if it is, it would be interesting to see him meet up with Monica Rambeau and him and Monica Rambeau somehow get into the back into the MCU. I think that'd be a great way to get her back into the MCU and to kind of connect Deadpool with the MCU as well. Now, if Deadpool 3 flops, the MCU is done for. I think this is like the linchpin for the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. This movie needs to hit. It needs to make $1 billion, and it needs to be a critical and fan success. If it's not, the MCU is in big, big trouble, and DC's on top, baby.
I want you to put the word out there that we back up. Understand me? We back up.
Sorry, I'm a DC fan. I mean, I'm a fan of both, but I'm more of a DC fan. So, seeing Marvel go down would be sad, but not that much, especially since DC seems like it's going to be on the come up with James Gunn's DCEU or DCU. But of course, I don't want the MCU to flop. But if this movie flops, it's not going to be looking good for the MCU. And it's really not an exaggeration to say that the fate of the Marvel Universe hangs on this movie. After Deadpool 3 comes out, you better enjoy that high you're on for the next month, because we are going to get another Sony stinker that is Craven the Hunter. It's directed by JC Chander and it's set to release August 30th. Now, unlike Madam Web, I'm actually interested to see this movie, but my expectations are, of course, tempered because it is a Sony Spider-Verse movie. Now, I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson does look good as Craven, and he doesn't seem to be the problem, at least not in the trailers. And the trailers did get me interested in the movie, but a Craven the Hunter movie without Spider-Man is just odd. It's like Superman without Lois. It's like Tom without Jerry. It just shouldn't work. Craven is so closely associated with Spider-Man that I don't know how they're going to do a good story without Spider-Man. And the writing for the Sony Spider-Verse movies has not been great. Even the Venom movies, which people love, I wouldn't say that those are the best written movies either. They're fun. So I really don't know how this movie is gonna go without Spider-Man and how the story is gonna be. But I am excited to see what's gonna happen in the movie and how it's gonna do in the box office. It's gonna be really interesting to see when it comes out. After that, we're going to get a somewhat polarizing movie that is Joker Folie à Deux, which is directed by Todd Phillips and set to release October 4th. Now, this movie has fans split right down the middle. I've seen some people extremely excited for this movie and others that think this is a horrible idea and don't know why this movie is coming out. Now, this one is starring Lady Gaga opposite of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and she will be playing Harley Quinn. And it's also a musical, which I feel like a lot of people don't know. But once we get an official trailer for it, I'm sure that they'll see the music and they'll kind of emphasize that more once we get the official first trailer. Now, going from the first movie to a musical does seem like sort of an odd move, but Lady Gaga is a really great singer. If you've seen A Star Is Born or obviously know her, she's a really great singer and actress as well. I at least have hope for the movie that the songs will be good. Now, I'm not the biggest musical fan, but again, I am a fan of Lady Gaga in movies and musicals, so I have hope that it's going to be at least good songs and a good dynamic between the two. But it's going to be interesting to see how they portray that. Now, the first Joker movie made $1 billion, so this movie has huge shoes to fill, and it's a big swing making it a musical as well. I'm hoping they hit a home run, but it could very well be a strikeout. And the last comic book movie of the year, at least that we have a concrete release date for, is going to be Venom 3, which is directed by Kelly Marcel and it's set to release November 8th. Now, it seems like we're getting a lot of Sony Spider-Verse movies this year, which I don't know if I'm that excited for necessarily. But the Venom movies are on the plus side of the Sony Spider-Verse. The first Venom movie specifically was a financial success and fans did enjoy it. There was a good dynamic between Tom Hardy and the Venom symbiote. They weren't the best, like I said, most well-written movies, but it was a lot of fun. Now, the second Venom movie was not as fun, it was not as great, and it was moving more towards the Morbius side of the Sonyverse. So this one, I'm really interested to see if it's going to be more like the first one or more like the latest one. Now, much like Craven the Hunter, Venom's a character that is so tied to Spider-Man in the comics that it is weird to have movies without him. But Tom Hardy kind of made the first one work. And the second one wasn't as great, so we'll see how this one goes. I'm hoping that we get a little Spider-Man in this movie, but I don't know that Marvel wants Sony to mess with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And Tom Holland himself said that he was taking a step back from acting for a little bit. So I'm not sure that he filmed anything for this movie before he, took his little hiatus from acting. So he's probably not going to be in it. But Sony has been planning on introducing a live action Miles Morales to their Spider Verse. They've been talking about doing a live action Miles Morales movie. So I think personally it is possible that we could get a little small cameo or maybe even a post credit scene with a live action Miles Morales. I think that's something that could happen in this movie. Now, I think it would be cool, obviously, despite my feelings for the Sony Spider Verse. I think seeing Miles Morales in live action maybe in this movie or towards the end of it would be pretty cool. But regardless, I'm not the biggest fan of the Venom franchise as a lot of people, so this one might be on par with Madam Web for me in terms of excitement to see it. And now for the projects that we don't have official release dates for, but are supposed to be coming out in 2024, and we'll start off with The Boys season 4. Now, we did get a teaser trailer for season 4 shortly after the end of the Gen V series, which, by the way, if you aren't watching Gen V on Amazon, you are doing yourself a disservice. I was skeptical of this show at first because I thought a college spinoff of The Boys was going to feel a little bit derivative, but oh my goodness, was I wrong. This Gen V is some of the best writing and storytelling in the business right now, and it's on par with and at points exceeds The Boys, in my opinion. That is how good it is. You need to be watching Gen V, especially if you're a fan of The Boys. But back to The Boys, I'm not going to speak too much on it because the teaser trailer definitely spoils some things that happens in Gen V. So if you haven't watched Gen V, you definitely need to watch. You don't need to watch it to watch season 4, but there might be a couple of things that you might get confused on. So if you watch season 4 based on what we got in the teaser trailer anyway. But I'm very much looking forward to the next chapter of The Boys and the diabolical mess that they're going to get themselves into because every season they just keep one upping everything. Next up, we have Agatha Darkhold Diaries, which is a Disney Plus show, which they're saying is set to release sometime in late 2024. And a lot of people think that by the time it does release, because the title of this has changed so many times, that it's going to change again to Agatha All Along, which I think is a better title anyway. Now, Agatha was one of the standout characters in the WandaVision series, but it is a little interesting of all of the Marvel side characters that there are to have her get a spin-off show. So I'm really interested to see what they're planning with this show. We don't have a lot of information on the show. We haven't gotten any teasers. We've only have a couple of images and set photos. So, like I said, I'm really interested to see what's going to be going on in the show. I personally have a gut feeling that it's going to be similar to Loki, to where we weren't expecting it to be, have such large ramifications on the greater MCU, but ends up being kind of a linchpin for the overarching story of the current phases. Or it could just be a fun, meaningless romp with Agatha. I guess we're gonna have to see. Unlike Agatha Darkhold Diaries, this next show is one that people are extremely excited for and have a lot of expectations for. That is X-Men 97. Now, this is an animation set to release on Disney Plus, and it's going to be a continuation of the X-Men animated series from the 90s, and it is set to pick up right after the ending of the original. Now, this one might be the most anticipated releases of Marvel this year outside of Deadpool 3, as people love the X-Men animated series, and it remains to this day one of Marvel's most popular animated series of all time. Like I said before, I'm more of a DC guy. I grew up on the DC animated shows, but the X-Men animated show as well as the Spider-Man animated show were two of the Marvel ones that I definitely got into, and it's what got me into the X-Men. So, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of have that similar path to where the X-Men 90s animated show got them into the X-Men. It's definitely one of the defining things of the X-Men, along with the Chris Claremont run as well in the comics. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where they go with this series and also how faithful it feels to the original in these modern times. We've talked a lot of Marvel today, so let's move over to DC for a minute. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Superman Legacy is set to release in 2025 and is going to be the first movie in the DC universe, but the Creature Commando show is actually going to be the first installment in James Gunn's new DC universe. Now, if you're not familiar, Creature Commandos is an animated series which is set to release on Max, according to a tweet from James Gunn, sometime later this year. The Creature Commandos show has a great voice cast consisting of Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., who's the father of Rick Flag Jr. from the Suicide Squad movies, Maria Bakalova as Princess Ilyana Rostovic, Indira Varma as the Bride of Frankenstein, Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky, Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus, David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein, Sean Gunn as both G.I. Robot and Weasel, the character he voiced in the Suicide Squad remake, and Steve G as John Economos, who appeared in the first Peacemaker TV series. Now, there isn't much known about the plot of this show or how it's going to relate to the overall DCU, but I am very excited for this nonetheless because it is our first look at the DCU, so I am very much looking forward to seeing what James Gunn vision is for the DC universe. Another DC project coming out in 2024 that I am looking forward to, but isn't actually set in James Gunn's new DC universe, is The Penguin on Max. This is actually set in the universe of Matt Reeves' The Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson, and is going to be following the Penguin from that movie, who was played amazingly, by the way, by Colin Farrell. I thought he did a great job. He transformed himself. You couldn't even tell that was him. Personally, I thought he should have gotten an award nomination for it, but that's just me. This is another one that I'm really excited for because it looks like it's going to be The Sopranos, but set in the Batman universe. We really don't get that much of a deep look at the villains of Batman other than the movies, and we also don't really get to see the day-to-day goings on or the vibe of Gotham a lot. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Gotham works, how that Gotham underbelly, that's really the crux of the Batman universe, works, and it's going to be really interesting to see the story that they decide to tell in this Matt Reeves Batman universe. Back to Marvel, there are two more animated series that we really don't have that much information on. That is Eyes of Wakanda and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which was originally titled Spider-Man Freshman Year. Now, like I said, we don't really have that much information on Eyes of Wakanda. There are some people that are speculating that it's going to be some sort of series following the Dora Milaje going on different missions throughout the world, but we really don't know what it's going to be. We do have more information on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, though, as it is set to be a look at Peter Parker in his freshman year of high school, and is likely going to follow his start as Spider-Man and fighting some of the more local New York City villains. You know, street level villains that Spider-Man has, which is going to be interesting to see. I'm personally holding out hope for a big wheel cameo. I'm a big wheel, fan myself. I love the memes, but also a remake of the Shocker meme would be pretty funny too.
Get back here, Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
And one of the few shows that's not either Marvel or DC is Umbrella Academy Season 4, which is set to release on Netflix again sometime this year. Now, I'm behind on the show as I haven't yet watched Season 3, but I was a really big fan of Season 1 of Umbrella Academy, and I really did enjoy Season 2 of Umbrella Academy as well. So I'll be looking forward to it, and once we get a trailer or get a release date, I'm definitely going to binge watch Season 3 to catch up on it, but I don't have much to say on it because I haven't caught up with the latest season yet. And that is everything that we know for sure is coming out in 2024. There are a few projects that were supposed to come out this year, but got pushed back to 2025 and beyond due to the strikes, like the second part of Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is a shame. I really would have loved to see that this year. But it is possible that some of those other projects might get pushed back up to this year. But at least as of the release of this video, that is everything that we know is coming out in 2024. So what are you most looking forward to this year? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more comic book and pop culture talk, and I will see y'all another day.